Good afternoon, Molweni. Goeiemiddag. Minister Ronald Lamola, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Premier Alan Winde, Professor Wim de Villiers, Professor Thuli Madonsela, all protocol observed. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to partake in this summit. In a time where the entire world is facing great uncertainty, I am encouraged to form part of a broader community that continues the fight to end inequality, poverty, and promote social justice. The consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic has been far-reaching. Although every person was affected in one way or another, the pandemic created painful awareness of how unequal the African socio-economic landscape still is. It highlighted the extreme poverty many South Africans find themselves in. The gap between disadvantaged and the privileged has grown so wide over the years that we are standing on the brink of a very dangerous situation, facing a point of no return. I am, however, an optimist and believe that South Africa and South Africans are more resilient than we get credit for. The Musa Plan, or M Plan as it is known, is one such demonstration of our resilience. This is a unique empowerment plan focusing on a ground-up approach. The Musa Plan focuses on unique and custom-made initiatives and admits that a one-size-fits-all approach is not practical in a country as diverse as ours. This plan will allow South Africans to contribute, acknowledge, and even pay as little as R2. That can help to motivate and prepare momentous change. It's a plan built on facts and data, not speculation and wishful thinking. It is not a magic wand to end poverty, not at all, but a combination of hard work, lobbying, and accountability to remove the barriers of poverty to create a more equal society. I am convinced that if there is one person in this country who can drive such a plan, it is Professor Thuli Madonsela. Her relentless pursuit of fairness and justice has made her a champion and an icon in the fight for rights and protection of all South Africans. We have worked very hard over the past few years to cement an excellent working relationship with the university, and have founded a beneficial relationship and partnership. The extent of our partnership was highlighted when COVID-19 struck, and we had to mobilize quickly to render support to our most vulnerable residents. Together with the university, Run Yaka, Visit Stellenbosch, Greater Stellenbosch Development Trust, and SCAN, we were able to come together as Stellenbosch Unite, and we were indeed united. Therefore, we could provide critical support and assistance to our poor residents. This serves as proof that when we combine our powers, we are able to change the course of potential disaster. I believe that our already existing partnership with the university will allow us as local government to fully support the Social Justice M Plan and to help us to also address inequality. Local government is a very starting point of a democracy. It is the closest touchstone of government that deals with the consequences and repercussions of poverty and inequality day by day. Addressing social justice is therefore critically important because the peace and prosperity of every local government is dependent on a more equal society. I want to congratulate Professor Thuli Madonsela and her team on this initiative and look forward to work with them.
Hi, this is Alan Winde. And first of all, I'd like to really say thank you very much to Professor Thuli Madonsela for thinking of me and asking me to join this second annual Social Justice Summit. Unfortunately, I couldn't be with you today, but having the honor and privilege of commenting and being part of a closing remark, it really is an honor. Thank you very much, Professor. I also really do find myself agreeing absolutely with, saying all hands on deck. We need to make sure that no one's left behind post-COVID-19. We've seen what COVID-19 has done to us as a country and as a region, We've seen people getting poorer, losing jobs, mass unemployment, the Gini coefficient numbers going in the wrong direction. And really what we have to do now is in the recovery plan, make sure that, we reverse these trends. And so really, I think the theme behind the summit and what you've been deliberating on, I absolutely agree with, and say as government, the provincial government, how do we work with you to make sure that you reach these ideals and these goals? And for us as well, we are focusing on the recovery plan. Of course, still remaining safe, and that's my first message, is we see the rest of the world. We see them locking down a second time. Our economy could never afford another lockdown. So that means we've all got to play our part, just managing to continually flatten the curve. And wherever we see a spike in this virus, we've got to make sure we zoom in and slow it right down again, because we cannot afford a further lockdown. It'll just make things worse. But in the recovery component of this, we've already said as a provincial government, our focus is on jobs. And I think that's natural. We need to make sure we claw back the thousands and thousands of jobs that we've lost across the province as quickly as we can. Then, of course, safety. And safety has always been one of my key objectives since being elected in this province. We've got to make safety a key priority in everything that we do. We have an unbelievable murder rate, and we really have to reverse that. And so I've set the goals to say that within the decade we have to halve that murder rate. We're already putting funding, boots on the ground, even though it's not a mandate of the province. But also we've got to talk about gender-based violence, and we've got to talk about how we get behavioral change with regards to crime. And that's going back to before someone's born, to their first 1,000 days of life, through their schooling, pre-primary, ECDs, through schooling life, and then all the way through their life. How do we make sure that we arrest this scourge in our society? And so there's a lot of focus in many of our programs on violence prevention and getting to the root causes, and that's what we have to really put a lot of energy in. And then the third focus area of our government is one we call dignity and well-being. And, when you lose your job, when you're a victim of gender-based violence, when you're a victim of crime, when you can't feed your family, you lose dignity. And we've got to make sure that as a government, we've got the social nets in place. We really are looking at how we can improve the dignity of citizens in our province. And so those are our three focus areas. And of course, I think very much in line with what you've been speaking about as a group in this summit today. And so thank you very much for playing your part, and I look forward to us all being partners in the recovery of our region and our country as we move forward in the next months and years. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good afternoon. What a joy and privilege it is to address you at the end of such an amazing conference. I hope you found the conference as amazing as I did. For this wonderful event, we would like to thank everyone who participated, everyone who contributed their speeches, and everyone who did the organizing, the feeding, the writing. And I am going to thank everyone in an orderly way. Firstly, would like to thank the Rector and Vice Chancellor of Stellenbosch University, as a speaker and as a sponsor of the event, Professor Wim de Villiers. Then the Honorable Minister Ronald Lamola for his inspiring speech and commitment to what government is doing and will do on social justice. To Reverend Dr. Thabo Makgoba, Archbishop of Cape Town and Primate of South Africa, for his message of hope. To Professor Nicola Smith, the Dean of Law at Stellenbosch University, for her wonderful speech reminding us of the grounding in human rights. To Kate Robinson, co-founder of One Young World, for also an inspiring message about how do we communicate to bring everyone on board. Claire Shine, Vice President and Chief Program Officer, Solspec Global Seminar, for an inspiring message linking this to what the Solspec Seminar is doing. To Busisiwe Busima Vuso, Chief Executive Officer of Business Leadership South Africa, for bringing business on board and also making a business case for social justice. For Adrian Eindhoven, Executive Chairman of Yellowwood Investment, for finding links between what business is doing in terms of CSI, what his company is doing, and social justice. To Pastor Art Boshoff for linking faith to the advancement of social justice. Ms. Laura Sirope, Chairperson of the Solidarity Fund, for drawing links between the Solidarity Fund and the M Fund, as well as the Social Justice M Plan. To Professor Adam Habib, Vice Chancellor, University of Witwatersrand, Professor Francis Peterson, Vice Chancellor, University of Free State, Professor Dan Khwadi, Vice Chancellor, Northwest University, Professor Sakela Buhlungu, Vice Chancellor, University of Fort Hare, Professor Eugene Klute, Vice Rector for Research Innovation and Graduate Studies, Stellenbosch University, Prof. Nico Koopman, Vice Rector, Social Impact, Transformation and Personnel at Stellenbosch University. All of these for bringing the town and gown element of what we're doing. What is the role of universities in development generally and advancing social justice specifically? I would like to then thank facilitators who facilitated the 10 session, to thank the rapporteurs, the resource people there, and the respondents. They're all too many to mention. I will just mention the facilitators of the sessions, who are Prof. Danny Brand, Prof. Dr. Lumgile Mondi, Prof. Jonathan Jansen, Dr. Padili Hotla, Mark Haywood, and Judge President Dunstan Mlambo. Dr. Wilhelm Verwoerd, Professor Lynn Lichi Warner, Mr. Kaya Sitole, Prof. Amanda House, and of course, we wouldn't be here without the team that worked day and night to make this happen. Marna Lawrence, Diana Gahisa, and other members of the social justice team, and of course, the organizers of this conference, who haven't put their name on the teleprompter. But I must just say that the Stellenbosch Conferencing Unit procured this amazing team. They're going to give me a piece of paper that I'm going to thank the organizers for this wonderful job. But just to wrap up, dear colleagues, we're ending the second Social Justice Summit. It is said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. One of my father's favorite sayings was a scripture that says, "Do not despise humble beginnings." Our journey today is a second giant step in a journey of 1,000 miles, which is about placing all hands on deck in pursuit of social justice, to leave no one behind. It is also about the COVID recovery program and sustainable development goals. You'll agree with me that we've made visible strides since the last summit, from the point of view of people mobilization to join the social justice quest. And this has been progress since we met on the 29th of August, 2019. But that was not the first time. We had also met hesitantly at a historic event of women healing the divisions of the past at Cornhill, where we met Palisa Musa, and at the Salzburg seminar, where we met the person who suggested, the one grandmother who suggested a Marshall Plan. The inaugural summit on 29 August 2019 emerged with a declaration that states the following: we, the participants at the inaugural Social Justice Summit, gathered here at Hazendal Wine Estate among our stakeholders from government, business, and community the legal profession, academia, and the media. 1, reaffirm commitment to the Constitution and the vision it has for South Africa to emerge from the ashes of colonialism, apartheid, patriarchy, xenophobia, and related injustices of the past. 2, believe that South Africa belongs to all its people and that the country has enough room and resources for all to rise to the level of great potential of all persons and improve quality of life in a society based on human dignity, the achievement of equality, and expanded frontiers of freedom for all without discrimination on any of the grounds in the Constitution, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, among others. 3, note with deep concern chronic levels of poverty and inequality marked by patterns of socioeconomic exclusion for many and extreme racial, gender, and age disparities in socioeconomic opportunities in South Africa, primarily along the contours of unjust laws and policies that sought to create a system of white privilege and black disadvantage under colonialism and apartheid. Further note, that's 4, further note the persistent gap regarding equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms by women, compounded by the intersection of gender and factors such as disability, age, urban-rural divide, township-suburb divide, nationality, sexual orientation, and other forms of human diversity that have historically been leveraged to oppress and exclude on the basis of difference. 5, further note the escalation of fractured relationships and deterioration in the social cohesion, particularly on the grounds of race and class, as well as ceaseless patterns of violence, particularly against women, children, and older persons, mostly in isolated rural residences such as villages and farms. 6, further note that the TRC did great work in exposing physical and psychological abuses in the security sector, but did not deal with social and economic and psychological impact of apartheid, and that other efforts since then have not adequately addressed the systemic impact of past injustices. 7, believe that as long as there is injustice somewhere, there can't be sustainable peace anywhere. 8, further believe that the Constitution offers a transformative framework for healing the divisions of the past by redressing power and resource imbalances in society and promoting social cohesion. 9, further believe that there is a need for a more accelerated pace in advancing social justice, leveraging opportunities created by the Fourth Industrial Revolution, focusing on poverty and inequality, and that this requires a social compact on social justice. 10, with all hands on deck between government, business, society, and international community, we are convinced that an integrated action plan that seeks to provide a systems approach to change, focusing on policy reform, public participation in strengthening democracy, including eradication of corruption, sharing resources, and promoting social cohesion and resource mobilization is needed. We thus hereby commit ourselves to join hands in advancing the constitutional promise, human rights, and sustainable development goals in a manner that redresses imbalances of the past while ending poverty and ensuring no one is left behind with regard to full participation in all aspects of economic and social life. We commit to reverse racialized, gendered, and other inherited and emerging disparities in the economy, education, health, science, environment, technology, infrastructure, in all areas of life. We agree to the proposed MUSA plan to accelerate change, focusing on A, policy reform through data analytics to ensure inclusive social impact, B, mobilizing society towards social accountability and social cohesion, C, everybody showing leadership and contributing to a capable state, and D, resource mobilization from society and international friends to fund accelerated social change. At the conference that took place during the following 2 days, we adopted a resolution that endorsed the contents of the declaration and undertook to leverage SDG opportunities to advance social justice. That was a great reset opportunity 25 years into democracy. Before then, the Great Reset was the adoption of the 1996 Constitution, whose preamble was read by children this morning to remind us of the commitment we made to ourselves and all the people of South Africa when we adopted this Constitution. The art at the Stellenbosch Law Building is a symbolic affirmation of that commitment and the institution's commitment to honor it, as Vice Chancellor Wim de Villiers announced this morning and during the unveiling of the art. At the core of that promise is to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society founded on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. We also promised to build a democratic society where everyone's potential is freed and life improved. At the core of that promise is the equality duty mostly borne by the state, which is essentially about ensuring all equally enjoy all human rights, and that before adoption of all policies, laws, and decisions, they must be tested for impact on that equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms. This includes reversing the legacy of the past, which, according to the Constitutional Court, in cases such as the Minister of Finance versus Van Heerden and Batu Star versus Minister of Environmental Affairs, is a constitutional duty. Today we heard that we have made progress but still have a long way to go. The areas we deep dived into today include land and poverty, economic inclusion and well-being, education and training, data analytics and poverty mapping, health, mental health and nutrition, access to justice and the rule of law, peace and social cohesion, climate change and environment, and environmental sustainability, politics and democracy, gender and other excluded groups. The road ahead should be about implementation. The Council of Social Justice that has been established and members appointed will lead us in this regard, whilst the Social Justice Chair will continue to lead the research think tank. The key areas to be consolidated include the Social Justice Impact Assessment Matrix, SIAM, and related tools for leveraging data analytics to avoid policies that are indifferent to difference and disadvantage. We will also finalize the poverty and inequality mapping pilot at Swartland and the SCOPRA work that we're doing in response to COVID-19. We will also turn all of these decisions into reports as we have done with previous ones, disseminate this, and continue to join hands. In this regard, we invite you to make use of our Social Justice Hub, which we established at the beginning of this year. It is said that the time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, which means we failed to plant a tree fully 20 years ago. But the next best time is now. Here we go, holding each other's hands, making sure that all hands are on deck to leave no one behind. And why are we doing this? It's for us all. And that's the essence of Ubuntu. Thank you again. May God bless you all. You will agree with me that this conference, in terms of organization, style, ambience, and just the feel-good part of it, was beyond excellent. And the speakers just exceeded our expectations. Thank you to Eastern Acoustics. Thank you to the Stellenbosch Conferencing Division. Goodbye.